Hello, everyone. My name is Dharm Sidhu, and this is meeting number 3 on our fear seminars. This is being recorded and it's going to be made available publicly, so keep that in mind with what you're sharing. Though what you're sharing helps everybody else learn a lot, but just keep in mind what you're comfortable with sharing. And my opinions in the seminar are not based on naturopathic principles. At this point, these are just my own ideas on sharing what I've learned about working through fear. And it also is not representing divine truth at this point. I'm still very new and still working through a lot of addictions. So I don't believe I have anything really sunk into my soul yet, but I'm sharing what I'm learning as I try to get to that space. So this is January 26th. 2020, and the reason I'm mentioning the date is because we're currently in the world facing the virus, the coronavirus originating from China. And so I want to bring some of that up in our conversation today. So I thought a bit of a timeline will help future viewers to understand what's going on. So as I was feeling about what I want to talk about today, I had some emotions come up. And what I connected to was that in the big picture, each of us are half a soul of the full soul. And we each have very unique gifts, which are needed nowadays. So basically, we carry within ourselves, in our nature, through the expression of our passion and desires, we carry potential solution to the very problems in the world. It's not a mistake that you're here now in this time. And when you're expressing those gifts, to me, it feels like I'm just expressing my passion. I'm just expressing my nature. And somehow it turns out to be beneficial to everybody. And fear blocks it. When you have fear literally kind of numbs that access to the desire. So you don't even know, you can't even feel your nature. Or if you feel it and you have some passion, in the fear, you're not going to act on it. It'll constrict it, it will talk you out of it, or you'll talk yourself out of it from believing the fear. And also, in order to suppress fear, well, fear damages the environment, but in order to suppress fear, you engage anger and addictions. And addiction really damages the environment and everybody in it, including yourself. So that's the big picture of what excites me about this work. I want to know what gift I carry, and I want to know how, in the expression of it, I could be the solution. And I deeply believe that is true for every single person on the planet right now. And it really excites me to meet people and wonder what gift you must carry, what uniqueness you carry that is going to be so precious to all of us as you learn to access and choose to express it. And fear, in summary, is when we are not loving our emotional pain. It's always from our childhood, or generated mostly from our childhood. It's about the past. It's about what you've already experienced, but you don't want to remember and process those experiences. And fear tend to convince you that it's talking to you about today and it's talking to you about the future. It always tries to convince you that it's trying to look out for you and that it's telling you what you should be watching out for going ahead. And that's never true. And fear always, always, always represents a lie. So you're either in truth or you're in fear. Like, that's it. And so when you have fear about a certain issue, you're not able to live or feel the truth about that issue. So every time I feel fear, I just say, oh, I'm believing a lie about something. And once I process it, or as I process it, I'll be able to feel the truth about that issue. For example, feeling about your worth, or feeling about abundance, feeling about health, feeling about beautiful relationships, feeling about our environment right now. And ironically, the very fear is damaging the environment. And then what we have to do is we have to, well, as we keep talking, I'll give you some of the clues, some of the techniques I use when I'm processing fear. And I also then ask myself, or ask my guides, I said, okay, there's a lot of fear being generated or being triggered from my past about what's going on with the flu right now. So I said, okay, if I process my fear about what's going on, how will that help the situation? How will it help people in China? How will it help people who are suffering from the flu right now? And that was what I asked. If I process my own personal fear from my own past, how will it help the situation? And I was quite surprised by the answer I got. What I was shown was that love will come out of me towards them. That this, and love as a substance was coming out of me. I wasn't even trying to pray or love them. I was just releasing the fear, because right now we're projecting fear at the people that are affected, or the countries, or potentially our own environment. And some of us may think like, well, I'm not too worried about it, that we've numbed it. But I'm thinking, as this is such a global law of attraction, that it would be very helpful for each of us to let it affect us and let us process our fears about it. And then I was also shown how, as I released my fear, they were feeling love, and also they were able to access truth if they wanted it. Faith was able to be around them, that they could remember faith of some kind and engage that faith, and it would really tremendously help them to help themselves, basically, by working through their own emotions. And also by feeling supported and guided by the Holy Spirit guides her out. So that was a very surprising answer for me. And so one good experiment, if you want, is you can ask, especially if you're a parent. Anyone's a parent here? Yes, one. Two. Okay. Oh yeah, three, yes. So sometimes I've asked, I only asked once, couldn't feel it again, too afraid. I asked once, what's it like for my children when I'm in fear? What is it? What do they feel it's like? And so I felt what they were feeling, and they were feeling assaulted. It was like an assault coming at them. That's what fear does. And yet we parents like to think that we love our children, we care and worry about them so much that it's a sign of how much we care that we worry about them. But they are feeling assaulted. It's very, very damaging to children. So you could actually ask, show me how my fear about a situation or a person is affecting them right now. What's it like for them? What's it doing to them? And just processing the fear allows for some beautiful things to happen for the person involved. And yeah, so when I asked our guides about fear, what I got was that releasing fear is a gift of love to yourself, others, and environment. And that our guides are always with us, helping us. And they want us to get rid of the lies we carry. To them, when we have fear, we're believing lies. And it's the lies that they see as a real issue for us, and they want us to get rid of the lies that we believe in. And that fear of losing love, fear of not getting our true heart desire, create most of the pain we're living right now. And that so much wonder and joy and love is possible in absence of fear. So when you're in fear, you're not creative. You can't see possibility of life. You're not. So if you can't even imagine it, you're definitely not going to go out and make it happen for yourself. So when fear is gone, you actually feel possibility and wonder for yourself and for your environment, and you will take action to make it happen for yourself. And then when you release your fear, it makes you realize how brave you really are. And it makes you start to see some of your own true qualities in yourself. And that makes you start to believe in yourself. And that is also something that has a lot of positive impact in your life and in your environment. So that's my opening spiel. And any comments about what we've spoken about so far? We good? Last week we left off with homework about what are our blocks to surrendering and releasing fear. But I just want to start with what is being triggered for you if you're aware about the flu virus going around right now, the coronavirus.
So I'll share. So I don't watch the news. So I actually found out about it last night.
Okay.
Because apparently it has come to Toronto.
Yes, that's right.
Had an interesting experience with a friend of mine who was, he was like in all sorts of fear around it. And I found myself like, I didn't want to be there. Like I didn't want to feed into it. I didn't want to take it on. I didn't want to, like I wanted, and I don't know if it was denial or or like a resignation, like there's nothing I can do about this, so why should I like worry about it?
Yeah.
So that's where I am around it.
Okay, thank you. Others?
I have to say that the way I feel about it right now is I don't know enough about it to be afraid. And when I think about that, or when I was thinking about that, I kind of went, so how many things do we not know enough about to be afraid of?
Yeah.
Or how many times do we like research something to death so that we can be afraid of it? And it brought to mind all of the myths around the AIDS virus in the 80s and 90s, and how everyone was so afraid that they could catch that virus, or that they didn't really even know that it was catchable. And so I kind of think about viruses the same way I thought about SARS the same way. It's like, I don't know enough about it. Yes, I want to protect my health. But you know, at this point in time, I guess it behooves me to find out more about it, but I cannot fear something that I don't know enough about to fear. Is how I feel.
Okay. So here's how I see it. One is what you guys are pointing out is that I need to know, I want truth about the situation. I'm not going to just join in the freak out. And that is what I'm saying. Don't go into the freak out, because then you're in the fear and you're acting from fear. That's panic. What you want to know is it's like using the opportunity to go, what fear if there were fears to be triggered inside of me, which I have from my past, it's not even about the situation, but how can the situation trigger those fears so that I can kind of be humble to the law of attraction, and then use that to release even more fears, and somehow it will actually help the environment in some way. That's my perspective. And so, sometimes I imagine, what if I'm in Wuhan right now? What would that be like? What would that feel like to me? And then it triggers a certain amount of fears for me, which again, because I know fears are my personal situation from the past, then it helps me to process it. So this way I can, because if the fear is being triggered, but we're up here, then we're contributing to projecting fears out into our environment. But for some people, we really don't have any fears about that get triggered by this kind of situation. So good on you. That's my perspective. Others? Casey?
Yeah, I don't know. because there was another one a couple of years ago that I can't remember the name
Wow.
of. I worked through a lot of fears around that. So I don't know if it's that it's just not affecting me this time, but
Yeah.
I am still really being affected by the news of the Australia fires.
Yeah.
Everything that's going on there. So that's kind of what I've been working through.
Yeah.
Versus
Okay.
the coronavirus is not really in my periphery.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. All right. So we don't need to spend too much airtime. Amy. Hi, Amy.
Hi, Dharm. For me, I was a little worried about it at first, and then my friend and I started doing some research on it, and then we found out, like, for example, the Ebola virus that happened a few years ago, anybody who got sick with it, 50% of the population died, whereas this one, only 2% of the population are dying, and it's only mostly affecting people over 40 and people whose immunization is compromised. So I am not really worried about it. Yeah, and even the Australian fires, like, I was worried about that too. And I was talking to my friend in Australia, and it is a big deal, but it's kind of similar to the fires that we had here that were hitting the Sunshine Village and stuff. And I've spoken to Australians who said it's actually not as big of a deal as we're making it. So I keep hearing that, like, the news keeps blowing it out of proportion, bigger, not all the time, but in these cases, it sounds bigger to us than what it really is. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. If you're going to process your emotions about it, then let it get to you. And then use it to see, where does it take me? And then release your fears about it and get to truth about it. So yeah, as long as you're not using facts to then suppress whatever could come up, then yeah, truth is the antidote to fear. So it does allow you to kind of give yourself a reality check. But then for me, where I'm at with my life right now, I'm just going, whatever it triggers, surrender. Let it, is it getting to me? Because if I shut this down, it's going to shut the rest of my processes down as well. So, but yeah, okay. So sometimes when you're listening to somebody else panicking, it can infect you. So if you let it infect you, if you're going, oh, she's freaking out and it's kind of having an impact on me, let yourself go there. And then start to go, wow, yeah, I'm shaking right now. But then once you get used to this process, within 5 minutes, you're like, oh, this fear is about that other situation over there. So now I can release that fear about that situation. And then you're really calm. And then you're not feeding off each other's fears and creating more panic. And remember that people who are panicking about some other situation from their past that they haven't processed. That's, unless you are in the hot spots, then, well, that's, the reality right now, which, yeah, I feel a lot of compassion about for what's going on there. And if there's something we can do emotionally, processing or praying, on our end to help them, that could be a good thing. Okay, so blocks to processing fear. Give me the juicies. What you guys get? Casey?
Sorry, I was trying to unmute and put up my hand at the same time. I wasn't very coordinated. I will be rejected or cast out.
How come? Can you give an example?
Probably because I was when I was little. I don't have a lot of concrete memories.
Yeah.
But I do remember, like, struggling to go to bed as a child, right? Like, I knew that there were spirits and things, and I hated going to bed. It was a struggle. It was always like, I don't want to go to sleep. Can I come and sleep with you? I wanted to sleep with my parents. Yeah. And they would just get angry. And they're like, you're fine. It's all in your head. Go to sleep. Yeah. And then they leave.
Yeah. So you're telling the truth about the fact that you're feeling fear may create the response of being rejected.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, that's a good block. Thank you. Jill?
That I have to give up the life that I have now.
Oh, how come?
I haven't gotten that far yet.
So the feeling you have is that if you process your fear, you're going to have to give up the life you have.
Hmm.
If you
Yeah.
release your fear.
Yeah, my life will change in some negative way.
Oh, okay. Life will change. So something horrible is going to happen?
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. So something horrible or terrible will happen. What else can you say on that? What can you expand on that feeling?
Well, the interesting thing is that is ruling. So that's the intellectual part where I know, because I have personal experience, that that's not the truth at all. So like,
Yes.
why am I believing it this time?
That's okay,
Right.
beautiful example. So every time you work through a new set of fear, it's as if you've never done fear work before. It's his own little block. It's his own little piece of a puzzle. It comes on fresh as if it's the first time ever you're dealing with the same issue. And it's like, no, why would this be any different from the other stuff that I released? And that's fate. That's when you go, no, I have released emotions before, but it's almost like this emotion is trapped in a certain time that is not connected to the rest of you that now has intelligence and courage and wisdom. So, and that will happen every time. Every time you get this fear, you're like, oh, but this one's different. Oh, but this one is really big, which is what I say every time. So good ask, good perspective. So something terrible will happen to me if I feel and release my fear. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. What else? Who else got more blocks?
I think I put my hand up. I'm not sure if I did.
Oh yeah.
People will think I'm weak and will take advantage of me.
That's such a good one. People will think I'm weak and I will be taken advantage of, I'll be manipulated. And what will happen to you if that happens?
Well, I would I would end up losing a part of my identity, I would think. The way I think the way I am perceived by most people is as a leader. And I fought hard for respect in my profession.
Yeah.
And so that I think that is a governing fear for me, that I will lose respect of the people around me.
Okay. So you're convinced at this point in the block that if I feel and release my fear, I'm actually going to look weak. Like I'm actually going to look like I'm helpless or weak or can't stay on top of it. So that's what the block is saying. The block is saying, if I feel my fear, I'm actually going to look and be weak, which is an absolute lie. But yeah, okay, good one. Thank you. And I will lose respect. That's the key one. Okay.
Maybe even just lose respect for myself might be part of it as well.
Oh, okay. Okay. Who else? Virginia.
That really resonates with me, with the last person just said.
Sandra, yeah.
But that is a big fear for me. But I realized this past week was that if I lose respect, that there's no opportunity for love.
Okay.
You'd not be loved either.
Okay. So, oh yeah, that's right. So if I lose respect, I will lose love as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. That's the actual fear. That's the block. If I feel my fear, I'm going to lose respect, which means I'm going to lose love. Okay.
Yeah. Why would anybody love me if they don't respect me?
Yeah. Good one. Thank you. And did you have other blocks, Virginia?
They've been mentioned so far. I don't.
Okay.
Nothing new there for me.
Thank you. Jess, if you want, you can type it in the chat box because the bus is probably really loud. And you can just, there's a chat and you can just type it in and I can read it out. Some of your blocks to fear. Well, Sanjukta, did you come up with some? You got like a whole notebook there. I'm like, she's got a list.
Yeah, I'm journaling tons lately. Kind of piggybacking off what Jill said, I feel like some of my fear is that a lot of my relationships will change.
Okay.
Because some of my relationships are built on like bonding over similar fears. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, what a good insight. That's right. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a really good insight. Yes. A lot of our relationships are based on placating or agreeing to a similar injury. And you've noticed that when one of you, if let's say there's a whole bunch of us in a relationship who are single and are always complaining about being single and how upsetting it is and why aren't there any good men left and this and that, and one of you find one, suddenly they turn on you. So if you're addicted to keeping that relationship, you're not going to let yourself have that thing that you all think you all want. So that is definitely a big block. So any more, Sajika?
Oh, I've just been trying to feel like even if I have a fear that the relationship will change, like I can still change, but still kind of show them love at the same time if they're not ready to like go to the same place that I'm going. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's trying to have compassion for my own fear about it and just realize that like even if I do lose the relationship, I don't think I will have lost any love. You know what? I don't know. It's tough to.
Okay, so this is where you're beginning to talk to the block, and in the beginning you will try to negotiate with the block, like, oh come on, but you know this could still work and that could still. And I remember, Jill, that was quite a bit of it that you went through, and you verbalized, going, but you know, if I just do, well, okay, if I release fear, but you know, maybe this can still work. And like you're negotiating with the block of how you can still get what you want, that you're using the addiction for. And how can I do that? Like there's manipulation, there's maneuvering, there's what I call negotiating. So that happens quite a bit as well. Yeah. I'll tell you where to go with that. So once I gather enough juicy ones. I'm just going to read up what Jess got. So if I feel or show fear, nobody will love me. I'm all alone. It's scary to be alone. And I'm in major food addiction to keep from feeling my anger, which is keeping me from feeling my fear. Very good insight. So Jess has got, if I feel fear, no one will love me. And therefore, I'm going to be alone. Okay. Very good. Amy?
For me, it's if I feel fears, I'm gonna feel pain, like physical pain, emotional pain, which will be physical pain. Pain.
I will feel pain. Okay. Good one. Okay. And so what you want, Amy, is you're afraid of feeling pain. You're saying, but I don't want to feel pain right now. That's what I'm really avoiding. Okay. Okay. Who else? Wendy, do you have some, can you come up with some blocks as we listen to Alice?
My major one is that it'll never end, and like I won't be able to come out of it.
Okay, so I won't be able to come out of it. It's pretty specific. So what do you think will happen if you can't come out of? What is that? What is it?
It's a trigger that I get triggered, and then I can't get out of that space.
Okay. And what do you like in that space?
I think it's a little bit deeper than I want to go to in this forum.
For sure. Okay.
So
But you see what I'm asking, right?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So when you are in, so the fear is that if I go to that deep, dark place, then I will drown, I'll lose my sanity, I won't be myself anymore. The pain is going to take over and consume me, and I'll never come out of the darkness. So basically, that kind of emotions. That's
Yeah. What I will say about it is it's a dissociative state, that I'll go into a dissociative state and not be able to get out of it. That's how I can put it.
That's brilliant. Okay. Thank you.
If you can fix that one, maybe I'll do it.
I'll tell you what's actually going on in that. I'm just making a list for everyone, and then I'll come back and tell you exactly what's actually going on there.
Okay.
Very familiar with it, so I know that one. Okay, so yes, Jess is adding that to what Amy has said. When I go into pain, I cry, and what comes is it hurts while I'm crying. It's painful. Yeah, good one. Anita, have you got a list?
Just adding more to, I think it was Amy. I know myself, like I could go, and it's a slippery slope. I can really go down into the depths, and then in that process, damage or ruin some relationships, and I break down, and then when I come back out again, like when I'm good again, I regret what I did, or I regret those emotions, that state that I allowed myself to get into.
Okay. Again, I know what. There's a turnaround there. Okay. If I go into fear, I will do or say something that will harm the relationship, that will harm others, and therefore the relationship. And I know I will regret this tomorrow. Okay. Good one, Anita. And Anita.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I've been in a lot of fear this weekend.
Okay.
And I feel like my brain is not functioning. I'm just, I'm in fear now.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know what to say. I just go to Facebook all the time.
Yes.
Yeah. I just don't want to. I don't want to feel it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also very good. Okay, we got some good ones here. So, okay. Oh, and Nita, can you mute? I think. Thank you. Okay. And so, Casey, what you got was that if I feel and release my fear, I will be rejected and I'll be cast out. So what you want to do is actually feel, I'm going to be rejected. I'm going to be cast out. I'm going to be banished. I'm going to become an outcast. I'm going to be a pariah. Feel that piece. That's the piece, because that's the block. And once you work through that block, then the fear becomes just another emotion. Because right now the fear will come up, and then you go, oh, but if I do this, then I'm going to be cast out. I'm going to be tossed aside. And then you won't let yourself fully process the fear. So you got to work through the block first. And as you feel the block, you're going, actually, I already was cast out. I already gone through the experience. And actually, I'm already being cast out anyway. And actually, I don't want to be part of that group anyway. It's like, but I don't want to be part of those people that have sent me out. It's so exhausting to be around them. So, some of those insights will come to you, but let yourself process that emotion that I'm going to be cast out if I work through my emotions. Just stay in that one and just grieve that one and actually feel your fear about being cast out. Jill, something horrible will happen if I feel my emotions. So just stay in that. That something horrible will happen, and when something horrible will happen, then my whole world will fall apart, and it's going to be a catastrophe, and I'll never get back on my feet again. And so just stay in that block of something terrible will happen. If I feel any emotions, no, not only fear, because fear is about the emotional process. What you're afraid of is to feel the emotions that's under it. So just let yourself grieve that a lot of horrible things and terrible things did happen. And as you work through that block, you'll start to get a perspective of the condition you were in that made terrible things happen to you that is no longer the case now. Because there's a child who's saying, something terrible will happen to me if I feel this stuff. Well, because she wasn't in control of the law of attraction. She was in somebody else's law of attraction. You were experiencing your parents' law of attraction, and you were completely helpless to it. And then when you go into your 20s and 30s, and you're going, a lot of terrible things happened, and then you're going, yeah, but what was my soul condition at that time that I haven't processed, which I now know about? Go ahead, Jill.
Okay, so just to clarify so that I can get the cheap seats on board. Yeah, I feel like I'm negotiating.
You're negotiating. Jill and I had many chats about this when she had to really surrender into a lot of fears. That was quite intense. So she'll call me and I'm like, you're negotiating. You want to be in this. It's all right. Carry on. I felt terrible about some of the things I told you at that time, Jill.
No, it was all good. Trust me. It was all good.
And then, yeah, the changes in your life now are I'm just blown away. There's been spectacular changes in your life. You were feeling fear about this situation, and then this other situation started to change, and I went, oh, is that how that works?
Yeah. I'm still in this fear of not being, thinking my life's going to fall apart, and I still can't see all the good things that have happened, right?
No.
So because I'm still here.
You're negotiating. Yeah. Okay. So, but just let yourself feel my life is going to fall apart. Just feel that. It's okay. And then as you do, then the perspective will come, the truth will come, and you'll have a reality check about it. And then you'll start to feel a lot more courage. Yeah. Going to be good. Okay. Sandra. The block is you have grief over feelings that you have lost respect. There's something about, so I would have you feel a feeling, I'm going to lose respect. What about it? So let yourself feel just that feeling about what's it like. So basically I would do like a mind map of like, I'm going to lose respect. That's what I feel.
Well, like Virginia, I think that that's also tied to losing love or not being loved or not being lovable, perhaps.
Perfect.
But I think, I can feel that. I can go there because I had felt it in the past. So it's not an unknown entity, but the development for me is understanding that there's a connection between who my persona is and what my fear is. So that's interesting to me. You know me. I kind of my negotiation is intellectualizing, Jill. I intellectualize everything to death. And so that allows me to not feel as well, I suppose. But so this exercise is notable.
Okay. And continue to think about it. Continue to go, how does that work? Continue to ask questions. How is my feeling, the grief from my past experiences where I lost respect, and therefore I suffered all these other consequences. If you grieve that, then you're no longer driven by the fear of losing respect, because what's happening now is you're not being authentic. Automatically, it takes a split second. You kind of go, oh, if I express this authentic opinion, I'm going to lose respect. Back up, negotiate, maneuver, turn things around. It takes a split second. So you're actually not being authentic out of fear. It's like a self-blackmail of like, I will lose respect. Whatever you do, don't make yourself lose respect. And so the true self isn't coming out at all. So this persona you've created is not real either. And as you grieve this fear of losing respect and it's no longer running your life, the real person will come out. And you always like who you really are. Always. You kind of admire, it's like the self-admiration of, I really like that about me. I like who this person is.
Okay, I'll learn to live with that.
Just think about it. Okay, Virginia. So the block that you need to feel is that I'm going to lose love. I will lose love. And I have lost love, and how that affected you. Because the fear of losing love then makes you negotiate with your life in a certain way. And just feel the block of, I can't even let myself feel my fears and process it and be free of this horrible thing because I'm so afraid of losing love. Then let yourself feel, okay, I'm going to lose love. That's what I would do. I would say, if I do this thing, this is what's going to happen to me. Okay, fine. I'm going to lose love. So then I tell myself every day, a couple of times a day, I'm going to lose love. I'm going to lose love. I'm going to lose all love. And then I start to go, I'm going to lose this person's love and that person's love. And then you start to see how you're not being authentic in certain situation because you're afraid of losing love and why you're afraid of it. And then you start to remember your past and you process the whole thing. And then you're free of it. You'll also start to realize that you're actually not getting love anyway, because what you're doing is you're meeting people's addictions so that you don't lose love. But it's an addictive relationship, so there's nothing real. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I feel like there's another layer to that as you're talking, where I don't want people pitying me.
Yeah.
If I'm in that situation, I don't want that projected at me. And I don't.
Okay.
I feel like there's a fear in that I don't want that feeling.
Yes.
You
don't want people to be condescending to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want people being condescending, because that is what happens when you're feeling fear. We think we're being weaker. Another one, Sandra, you can feel is that I'm weak. If I feel fear, that means I'm weak. So I'm going to let myself feel I am weak. I actually did that. I told myself I'm weak, and therefore I'm going to be taken advantage of. And I let myself feel all those emotions, only to realize that it takes more courage to feel your fear. And I'm always being taken advantage of anyway. So, so it was very freeing to release that block. So,
okay,
what you're feeling, Virginia, because people judge their own fears, they shame themselves. So when somebody else is processing fear, they're actually being brave at that moment. But then somebody else saying, "Well, I'm superior to you, so I'm going to be condescending to you," and you don't want to remember what it was like to be condescended to, which is what happened to you as a child.
Okay, thank you.
That's a rough one to feel about. So Sujukta, yours is I will lose relationships. I will lose relationships. So I would just let myself feel I'm going to lose my relationships. And at this point, I don't want to lose them. So I'm trying to negotiate, I'm trying to placate, I'm trying to maneuver. How can I do this thing and yet keep my relationships? But fear of losing a relationship is the grief you have to go into. So let yourself feel, if I do this, I'm going to lose all my relationships. Go there. Let yourself process it. And again, you may come to realize that those relationships are only there because you're meeting their addictions. That's nothing real anyway. Maybe, I don't know what will come to you as you process it, but let yourself go there. I'm going to lose all my relationships, and wherever that takes you. And
another layer to that for me, I think, is fear of not being able to help. So like seeing pain in my loved ones and not being able to do anything about it, that helplessness. I think that's also kind of huge.
It's about helping people who don't want to be helped. They just want you to meet their addiction. They don't want to be helped. They're using it to manipulate you into giving them what they want and maintain their current condition. They're not asking for help, but they're using it as a way to hook you in. So I have an addiction to being needed because that's how I get wet. And then I get sucked in. And then I really lose a lot of myself and energy and get a lot of pain out of it. And the person, no desire to be helped. It was never about it. So even that is about losing relationship.
Yeah, that really resonates with me. Yeah.
When you're working through the block to fear, you just pick that block and feel that. So for Jess, it is, I'm going to be alone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be alone. So I would recommend for Jess to feel that I'm alone. I'm going to be all alone and there'll never be anyone around me. And looking at Jess's experience, I think she's not able to connect right now from what I know about her life so far. She's usually alone a lot. And she's always surrounded by friends. She always attracts people, but there's an aloneness about her story. So it's kind of ironic that you're already living it. So let yourself feel, if some of you have the block, if I do this, I'm going to be all alone. I am alone. I'm alone all the time. I'm already there. Or I'm going to be all alone and therefore fill in the blank. So get it out of the way. Just let yourself feel, I'm going to be all alone if I do this. Things will never get better for me. I've had many of those dramatic, like, oh, this is it. I'm going to do this thing and nothing's ever going to work out for me. And I'm going to end up in the streets. And the more melodramatic, the better. Because then the emotion can really come out. And I've done many of those, only to come out the other side with the opposite perspective. And feeling more, basically, I feel like, just ripping off on what Sandra said about being a leader, what I find is that as you release your fear and you connect to your own nature, there's an inner authority that wakes up in you about taking responsibility for your life and for your passion and for expressing your gift. So now you have inner authority, and people tend to follow you anyway. The people who want that gift you have of inner authority or that inner confidence, that inner assuredness of your own path, they'll follow you. You can't help it. So you become an even more authentic leader, or I would call an accidental leader. You're just doing your thing, and next thing you know, you're like, why are the people following me everywhere I go? What's going on here? I don't want to be a leader. So you'll have the opposite experience of what you fear will happen. And then Amy, this is actually for everyone. I am afraid of pain. My life will be nothing but pain. It's just going to be pain everywhere. It will never get better. I'm so terrified of pain. All fears are about not wanting to embrace emotional pain. So the first block that came up for me when I discovered Divine Truth was that there will only be pain. And like, you want me to walk towards the pain? There is so much pain. There is nothing but pain. The pain will never get better. I will be so miserable and depressed and unhappy. And as I start to feel the block, I'm still feeling through that block actually, about pain. I realized that actually my life was already in pain. I was always in physical pain. I was always in some kind of emotional pain. So who was I kidding? And I was adding and increasing more pain through my addictions. So that is a good block to work through. If I feel my fear, I'll only ever have pain in my life. Surrender to it. Go there. So what? What about it? I have a lot of fear. Actually, I did get to a place 2 years ago after releasing fear for years. One time I went into Grace, I saw Grace somewhere, and I said, you know what? I'm no longer afraid of pain. Now I gotta learn to love it. That's my next step. But I am no longer afraid of pain. It was a really powerful place to get to, that I had to physically release the fear off and then go, I'm not afraid of pain anymore. Wow, what a place to get to. But I felt that my life was going to be full of pain and I hate pain. That's how I got there. That will be for Amy. Wendy, here's the plot twist for what's going on for you. What's happening is, as the fear come up, you are actually getting away from fear. That's what dissociating is. So let me say it again. The fear is coming up, panic is coming up, and you go, I'm out of here. That's what's happening. So as you start to let yourself process a little bit of fear at a time, like you can say, okay, I'm going to put my timer on for 1 minute. For just 1 minute, I'm going to let myself just go, wow, I'm a little nervous right now. Just let myself feel it, and I'm going to turn it off at 1 minute. I'm in control here, and you are in control here. Turn it off at 1 minute, and then go, well, I'm still here. It was uncomfortable, but it was okay. I think this is all right. I can do more of this. I can do 2 minutes, because you're telling yourself, I don't need to check out right now. And that comes from when we're children and we're being abused, our spirit guides will take us out of our body in order to minimize the damage that we're experiencing at that time. We are taken out of our bodies. But now we have to process the experiences. Not all of it, but some of it emotionally. And so what we're doing is we're doing the same thing again. We're going, oh, I'm supposed to check out right now. And you got to tell yourself, no, the situation is over. I'm afraid of what I'm going to have to remember. I'm afraid of what the experience was like for me as a child that's already happened. If I can just feel a little tiny bit of it and then make a decision about what I want to do about it. So that will be what dissociating is about. So if you are dissociating, you are not processing fear. I would actually say, yeah, I'm going to stop right now. I'm actually going the other way. Stop. Come back into my body and then go, what about feeling this emotion? What about it? So I suggest that we talk so we can kind of work through some of our blocks. Wendy, if you have opportunity, we can have a session and then work through some of the blocks that will come up around it. But if you start to dissociate, that's because you are feeling fear, feeling panic, and then checking out. That's what's going on.
I like the thought of setting a timer so that I'm in control. That feels really good.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that came to me last week when we were talking was, I wrote this down. It's not like feeling fear is going to kill me. I've survived way more.
Absolutely.
So
see courage.
What's my problem?
Absolutely. This is where the adult, mature person is now presenting to the child. This is a whole other story now.
That didn't kill me. So what do I think this is going to do?
Exactly.
So
very good. And keep having those kind of quotations, because those are fate that you've earned from your own life, and you bring that fate in processing your emotions. You're invincible when you can do that. And also, just lost my thought there about it. Oh yes. Actually, living in fear is killing us. Old age, illnesses, death is fear finally breaking down your body where you can't sustain life anymore. So fear is killing you. Getting rid of fear will keep you living longer. I'm actually I'm trying to channel some information on how fear affects each organ. I've done heart, kidney, and eyes, and it's quite revealing to see what holding on to fear does to each of those organs separately. But I'm still practicing how to get information, so I'm not ready to share it yet. I need to do more practices with it. But yeah, thank you, Wendy. Okay, Nita. So if I go into my emotion, into fear, I'm going to do or say something that will harm others, and I'm going to regret it. Well, here's what's actually happening, Nita. What's happening is fear got triggered, and you walked away from fear because we don't know how to process fear. When you went away from the fear and you acted from that place, you will say or do things that are not going to be healing. So you're actually not in your fear. The fear got triggered, and then you got away from it. And that's when the fear is triggered, we are going to engage our addictions. We're going to go into anger. We're going to go into blame. We're going to go into somebody else and make them be responsible for it. So you were not actually feeling fear, you were avoiding it. If the fear got triggered and you fell into your fear, which is something that we have to now walk backward. So you kind of go, okay, I'm feeling this situation here that just happened. I just had this interaction with somebody and I was upset. And now I'm feeling like, oh, that wasn't the best of me. Go back and go, what was the fear that got triggered in that moment? Because fear gets triggered in a flash, gets suppressed in another flash. You don't even know. You don't even realize that you just had a fear trigger and it got pushed out right away. And you're just coming out of that fear now. You're living in the fear. You're not processing fear. So not going into your fear is what's causing the issues in your relationship, where you do and say stuff that doesn't make you feel very good about it the next day. And the more you start to identify the fear and then see that the fear is about the past, start to let yourself physically shake and release it, you will not. You'll actually be very, very calm. Just like Jill was saying earlier, my head isn't very clear right now. I'm in my fear, but I can't think very clearly. I'm thinking you're still avoiding the fear. When you step into the fear properly, your head will clear. So when my mind is going crazy, I know I'm actually avoiding fear. I'm in the fear. I'm engaging with it. And then when I can properly surrender to it, my mind is very, very calm. So that's actually a sign for me that if I'm in my head, I'm trying to get away from fear. Yeah. And Anita, oh yeah, sorry, it was Anita who said your brain wasn't working. Sorry, Joe. You're next to each other on my camera right now, so it's like, wait, who was it? So Anita, does that resonate for you?
Yeah, it does. I also realized that if I feel my fear, then it will take me back to my childhood,
Yes.
and I'll feel terror, because that was only terror.
Yeah.
And it's gonna get me, and I will just disappear.
And you will disappear?
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
In the fear,
so,
yeah.
So I don't want to go into my childhood experiences. I don't want to feel terror. That's where you are right now, right?
Yeah.
The block is that if I feel my fear, I'm going to go back into my childhood memories. And the whole point of my life right now is to not go there. I am not going back to my childhood memories. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So you want, sorry?
I'm really afraid of remember. I don't want to remember. I don't want to remember.
Okay.
It's horrible.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Stay in that.
Yeah.
That's it right there.
Yeah.
That.
Okay.
I would say actually you should go into your anger about it. There has to be anger in you that you're gonna
Yeah. Thanks.
So yeah, when I go into my angers, it can take months to be in the anger of like, why do I have to go back there? This is what I'm gonna have to go through. I was so mad at God when I feeling it. I was like, God, I already went through hell. Now you want me to go back there and remember it? Wow, what a nice guy you are. Yeah, I was livid. But the physical conditions, illnesses that were happening when I was avoiding the fear disappeared. And then I went into how angry I am about how betrayed I feel and all these other emotions. And like, convince me, why on earth should I be doing this? My whole life is set up about getting away from it. And you want me to walk back? What kind of God are you? Where is the love? Blah, 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 blah. So go into the anger.
Yeah.
Finish the anger first. And then you will actually, something will finish from you, and you will actually look at a situation and you will make a choice. You will make a choice. So I remember, I think it took about 8 months to work through that anger. Maybe if I felt the anger every day for hours and hours, maybe it would have taken only a week. I don't know. But I remember it was that long. And then one day I just said, okay, fine, let's do this. Let's go there. Like I remember, like something was gone, and I had the room to make that choice, as well as I could see the damage of not feeling those emotions have done to me. I could then by then see, like, I gotta do this. Fine, let's do it. That was the choice. And now, I think December 2019, I got in to those emotions. It took a few more years to work through a few other blocks. I'm in those emotions now. I'm in my childhood traumas. I'm in some horrible, horrible violences. I can only last 3 to 5 minutes at a time, but I'm in, and I want those feelings. I want the memories. I'm looking for them. So you will have a pretty big shift between where you are to where you're going to be. You will get there. All of us will get there. You just have to keep working through the blocks as they come up. And fear is the Casey was saying. What were you saying about fear yesterday, Casey? What is fear to you?
Oh my gosh, because we were talking about what it was when I first started seeing you, which is like I'd worship the bloody thing. Like, I'm not scared. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
All the time. It's just an emotion, I think. Is that what I was saying? Like it's not trying to diminish it too much, but it's like a baby emotion.
It's a baby emotion.
I mean, it doesn't feel like it in the beginning, but it really does become one of the easiest emotions to process.
Yes, it's easiest. Yeah. And all you have to do is feel your fear about it, and then you access the emotion, and sometimes the emotion is a lot less than the fear approaching it. Took you months and months to release the fear, and then the whole thing was done in 20 minutes. And you're like, really? I've created this whole life full of pain just to avoid this other little thing? Oh. Now, as a child, it wasn't your choice to avoid the emotion, so please remember that. And also, when you're feeling the fears, the judgment is towards the child. It's a child who's having like, I can't cope with this. So do have compassion. To whom, who is the one that's stuck in those places. But it is the easiest emotion to work through. Once you work through the blocks and you start to process fear, you're like, it's the easiest. When I'm teaching workshops, I kick it. I'm like, it's just this fear thing. Come on. I don't want to keep talking about this. But you need to have the experience yourself. And once you do, you're like, oh, every issue that come up, what's the fear, process the fear, and then the rest of it feels, I don't want to say it's more painful, but you will be willing to embrace those emotions. And yes, they're going to feel pretty intense in the moment as you experience them, but you'll also have a lot of compassion that this is the child's trauma, and you want to help the child be free of releasing it. And all you have to do is release it. That's it. You just have to get rid of the experience. Just feel it emotionally. You're going to be very, very helped and assisted in the process. A lot of help will show up in your life to help you go through it. But we don't have to go there right now. You just have to go, I don't want to feel fear because of this block. Feel the block. And then as you feel the block, you start to go, actually, it's just fear. It's just an emotion. And actually, I've already been feeling it. I'm always in my fear. I'm always panicking. It's always, when I realize after a while, I always have dry mouth. Like, I've been in panic my whole life. I was so used to it, I don't recognize. I'm already in fear all the time. It's not going to be any more different. So, where do you guys want to go with some of the blocks we talked about? Some of you are inspired to try something for the coming week. What are you curious about? Jill?
I'm curious about what we've been kind of talking about, the child, and how a child processes fear rather than, and how we were projected. I don't know if this is going to make sense. How we were projected onto as a child and not allowed to feel that fear. And what's the difference between our adult fear and our child fear?
Oh. Okay. Yeah, because as you feel the adult's fear of like, oh, really terrified. If I feel fear, all of this thing is going to happen to me. You are actually processing the child's emotions anyway, because those are the child's. But then I have also found that when I'm approaching the child's trauma, there is another set of fear of the child's experience. So there is the fear I have of feeling emotions that I'm feeling, that I have to feel. You know, I'm terrified about something, I don't want to feel something will happen to me, I process it. And then as I go towards the child's trauma, as those memories are coming up, there's a whole other set of fear that starts to come up. That is also, so I haven't taught much about this, but I have experienced that they are separate experiences that comes up. Yeah. But then by then you're used to the fear, so you allow yourself to experience the child's terror as well. Terror and fear. Yeah, they're probably separate. It's just that at some point you're going, it's just another fear. I'm just going to go into it. Something happened in my environment. For some reason it triggered fear. Off I go. I don't even care what the fear is about. At first you're like, what is this about? What childhood emotion is this? And this and that and this and that. Now, half the time I don't even realize I'm shaking. It's like, fear got triggered. Carry on. Let's get this out. And as the fear leaves, then the issue come up and you're going, oh, is this what this is about? I literally can't see what it's about until the fear is released. So I just blindly shake and shake and shake and release my fear. And then something emerge. Sometimes I'm shaking, and suddenly it stops. And I go, huh, something's happening. Fear just finished, because it's something that just finishes. And then you're like, waiting, like something's going to wake up, something's going to emerge, and then this sweet, beautiful grief of some kind will awaken and present itself. And it's usually not connected to what I think the fear is about. So I don't even ask what the fear is about. And I don't negotiate with the fear. So say a situation's happening. So there's a flu going around. And it brings all kind of fears. So I will tag the fear. I will go, okay, there's flu going around, da 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 da. What does it make me feel? What am I afraid of? I'm afraid of being helpless to what's coming at me from the environment. And I go, oh, that's the feeling. So then I ignore the current situation and go, I'm afraid of being helpless from what's coming from the environment. That's what this is about. Thank you, law of attraction. I'm not going to think about you anymore. I'm just going to go into the emotion, because this is now about the past. You got to have some courage. You got to have a spine to go, okay, enough about the situation. I just wanted the team. I just wanted that phrase. What is it triggering? Once I found it, it's nothing to do with the situation anymore. And I go into the emotion purely. Some clues. Anybody else feeling inspired to think about some things or have some tantrums? Sanjukta?
Is the shaking always there when you're feeling fear, or like is that how you know you're authentically feeling it, or is it able to pop up differently?
Well, you feel a little bit like, ooh, this is uncomfortable. This is not pleasant. You know, you feel a little bit of like, ooh, yeah, I don't. Yeah. But then it will show up very differently. Sometimes my legs are shaking. Sometimes my hands are shaking. Sometimes it's my head that's shaking. Sometimes it's my belly, my chest that's quivering. Sometimes I'm moaning in pain, like I'm like crying. You know, you're so afraid. You're like whining. Sometimes there's sounds coming out. So depending on where it's stored and what its expression need to be, it will be different. So yeah, but yes, there's some kind of shaking at some point. It was for the longest time, it was coming out of my head. My head would shake, and I'm like, this is hard to do in public. But at some point, it started to become just my belly would just start to shake, or my hands are shaking a little bit. And I'm like, okay, this is better. I can just do this in public. I don't care. But then I will do the big shakes in the morning at home. Like yesterday, I looked like I was having a convulsion. I was shaking so hard. my whole belly, like it would move in waves. And I was just like, my teeth are rattling. It's just big. Took about an hour to release the big stuff. And then I went into some softer emotions after that, and I went to work. Felt a lot better at work. Yeah. Amy.
You were just asking, I think you were asking about if there's any blocks that we are wanting to challenge or something. Yeah, I'm totally terrified about feeling terror.
Perfect.
Terrified.
Perfect.
Terrified.
Yeah, I remember doing that. Absolutely. So yeah, just feel how terrified you are to feel terror and why. Yeah, for sure. That's a good one. And have some tantrums about it. Like, why on earth should I want to have to feel terror? La, 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 la. Like, we have justification for why we should not have to feel terror.
But I don't get to tantrums. It's more just anger. Whenever I feel like like pain is coming, or like I'm asked to feel pain or something, it triggers anger in me.
But that's a tantrum. That's tantrum. If you start voicing that anger by yourself, I call that tantrum. That's my justification for why I should not have to feel any pain. And you start to release that. Okay. So I'm gonna stop the recording first.